everyone, I'm Anquinette Crosby here in Crystal City. I'm standing in front of some buildings that have gone from drab to draped. But more of that in just a moment. But first, welcome to Artico, art in your community. Welcome back to the show. Well, it's a wrap on some of these old buildings. And how did that happen? A local developer hired 2 artists to turn these buildings from drab to fab.
The result? 4 colorfully wrapped, eye-catching structures in downtown Crystal City. The mid-century buildings are covered from top to bottom in canvas-like fabric, bringing some much-needed pizzazz to the local landscape.
We had 4 buildings that were substantially vacant and will likely be demolished at some point in the future as part of our broader redevelopment plans for this whole submarket. But we thought until that happened, let's do something fun. And we had this idea of what if we were to either paint the buildings, some of these buildings that are vacant or substantially vacant, or maybe wrap them in some way with some colorful canvases. The building wraps are made out of a mesh material. It's kind of like a nylon mesh, and it's about 80% transparent. You really don't notice that when you're looking at them, but it's not unlike what you would see on a metro bus, so you can actually see on the inside out, so you can see through them even though they look rather opaque on the outside. We've also done some murals. There's a mural kind of over my left shoulder here. It's big, it says lovers across it. It's underneath kind of a covered arcade area. And it's become a real Instagram moment for people to go and take photos there. We have many seating areas. We actually even have fire pits that we brought in, so we've tried to create a much more comfortable environment for people to come out of their buildings or come out of their apartments or condos and have a nice public space for them to gather in. The reaction has been really very positive. Everyone has been very excited. Our long-term plans are to make some pretty dramatic changes here and build on what's already here in this submarket, but we really want to look at ways where we can make it more pedestrian friendly. We can make it the place where a lot of people want to be, 24 hours a day.
Joyce J Scott is known for her intricate, often provocative jewelry and beaded sculptures.
Though beautiful to look at, her work often explores tough subjects like rape, racism, and misogyny. In 2016, she became a MacArthur Fellow. Joyce's work can be found in many celebrated collections, including the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. She is also a vocalist and performance artist.
I believe racism is a disease. I have the disease of racism. I try to cure it every day, and my artwork is part of my cure. I'm an artist, not a preacher or a politician. How do I, just an average citizen, talk about the issues that plague me? I'm also an African American woman, so I'm constantly bombarded by misogyny and racism and classism. So the idea about whether my artwork is, especially my jewelry, made to be worn or made to be just hung on the wall, it's both. I love the idea that I'm making a necklace about murder or rape or about racism and somebody has the stones, the cojones to wear it, because it means that they're willing to have a conversation about it. There's one series that haunts me still. There are actually 2. So let me tell you about the first one. It's called the Mammy or Nanny series. My mom told me one of the worst feelings she ever had was to have a baby that she's raised since infancy. And when they were starting to grow up, and we're talking about white children, this infant, we would call her nigger. And she's like, wait a second. That baby is not at the club drinking Cavassier. This is an infant. Where would they hear this? Which means the very people that she's doing everything for, serving, are inculcating that kind of crap into the babe. So I did a whole series on that. And the other one is called The Day After Rape, because I believe that women most of the time are the fodder of war father, not father. When you see a beaded woman trussed and tied up with blood coming from her vagina, and she's beautifully created and she fits in your hand comfortably, or when you see one whose legs and thighs are made out of meerschaum pipes that are the color of someone's body and they look like stockings, and men, although women do pipes, men usually suck on them for pleasure. You get the connection? When you ask me what kind of reaction do I get, well, people are like, that's beautifully done. That's class. Do you do the class? Oh, that's right, I know you're wait, what's going on? Well, there's a black woman who's pregnant. She's riding a gun. You can see the trigger here and the barrel down there. Death is stalking her. He's grabbed her. And while he's stalking her, he's actually raping a woman who's riding on her back. The beauty of life is always stalked by death in some way. And they understand my use of these materials and my way of telling a story which invites you to sit with me and then pleads with you to know the truth of the events. 2000, I think it was 16, was the trifecta for me. The beginning of the year, I became a Deutsch Fellow, which means I'm an artist in residence in an art building, and they gave me a stipend, which I can have that money and turn back into community stuff, right? Then at the end of that year, I received the Baker Award. The thing about being from Baltimore is if you receive something here, it's no longer yours. It's everybody's. Now, instead of my going like, y'all ain't do no work, back off, the amount of love and joy around you, and people like, hey, Joyce, hey, Miss Scott, people I don't know, it's like, got the Baker girl, people you would never think. You got the I saw you on TV. And then just a few, maybe a month and a half later, I got the MacArthur. And now that's really not my Mac, that's our MacArthur. It really is people, yeah, we got the MacArthur. And instead of feeling, you know, it's a big old warm feeling that I've done for me the right thing, staying within my community. I very much would like to do some different things on DNA and about whether humans will last. That's a big thing for me. We have the possibility, people say it's the end of the world. No, it's the end of the humans maybe on the world. And of course we won't all die. Some of us will live with one eye and a claw, something. I think about whether we actually are meant to last in perpetuity, whether we're really meant to be forever, and what our true job is on this earth. Are we disruptors? Are we meant to tear up everything and then disappear so something new can grow? I find that really pretty interesting.
Sherry Meneses and Les Toulousan are creatively making names for themselves in the community and beyond.
Sherry and her husband Frankie are the co-founders of Soul and Ink. It's a live screen printing experience. Les is a photographer and DJ. Besides their individual successes, they created and curate together the Sama Sama Art Show. It takes place during Asian Pacific Heritage Month. Sama Sama means unity in Tagalog, the Filipino language.
My parents were both photographers in the 70s, and I got my first DSLR in 2nd grade. I've always loved taking pictures. I think I remember in 4th grade, 2nd or 3rd grade actually, I was carrying around a camera with me all the time. Those pictures were no good, but I did love taking pictures. I specialize in portraiture and also events, so I love taking portraits and just, capturing the moment. I've been photographing for Advancement Project. I've been doing their headshots, Education Forward, Girls Rock, DC, and and I've been photographing for a lot of AAPI nonprofits in the area for a long time. My heritage has shaped the whole of me because I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I didn't move here until I was an adult, so I'm very Filipino. Growing up in the Philippines, music is everywhere. In public transportation, people play their own music, buses, the mall, all the shops, there's always music playing. When I DJ, sometimes I DJ events that I do sets that are all Pinoy-centric, Pinoy Filipino-centric. So I play records of Pinoy disco, funk, because I want people to hear our music.
I was curious about everything, about subcultures, so I just started seeking some of my own interests, such as music, as hip-hop was a big thing for me in the 90s. And also, my dad was a graphic designer, and he had his own company. I went to school for studio art initially, and drawing and illustration, and then I was making mixtapes for friends, and I would always design the covers of the mixtapes, and my friends were like, you need to get into graphic design. Soul and Ink, the live screen printing experience, works for so many different types of events, such as festivals, things like art receptions, grand openings. We also do workshops. The great thing about what we do is that it doubles not only as unique art, but it also doubles as a marketing platform. So whatever we're printing, it kind of resonates throughout the community. I wore this because this was one of the shirts that we printed in January for the 930 Club 30th Anniversary World Fair. This is actually Nirvana's plate. Kurt Cobain wrote their set list on a paper plate before they got on stage for the last show of the first 930 Club. And it was their last performance before they became really famous. In the world of design, when something looks easy, that means you're good at it, right? So the screen printing process looks like magic, but literally each activation is maybe 20 to 30 hours in preparation.
My DJ name is The Pinstripe Rebel. The Pinstripe Rebel is a song by a British band called the Would Be Goods. I chose that name because I didn't want a gendered name as my DJ name. I didn't want to be Miss Lady DJ Ma'am. And the kind of mixes I make, I like mixing new, old. I like going all over the place, but also I love telling a story.
So I'm the co-curator of the Sama Sama Art Show with Les Talusan, and we work together. Sama Sama means all together, all are welcome in our native language, Tagalog, and we try to make it a very much inclusive art show.
We just wanted to be supportive of our community.
What people can do is follow us on soulandinkcrew.com or on Instagram at soulandinkcrew, as well as lestalusan.com.
Growing up, Simcom says he was a bit shy and socially awkward, but over time, he figured out that for him, clothes make the man.
An obsession for style and tailoring emerged. He practiced law for a while, but his passion for fashion never let up. Today, he's a suit maker and runs his own business.
I got my start in fashion by looking for suits that I wanted to have made for myself because I was going to trial against a guy twice my age, and I needed to look, not 17. So I tried to go into the city and try to get local suit makers to make clothes for me, and everybody wanted to make big shouldered, big boxy clothes. That wasn't working for me, so I said, I'm gonna build this myself, and that's kind of how it kicked off. My first year in business, I got my start in the casting process of a show called Fashion Star in New York with Jessica Simpson and Nicole Richie hosting. I made it through all these rounds of casting, and while I didn't make it onto the show, I did end up meeting Rachel Bilson, who was Summer on the OC, and when she really liked the clothes, I started getting clients from the Twilight Saga, X-Men, Captain America, a ton of NFL players, and I never looked back. What guys look for when they're coming to me, they want something custom made for them, and not just custom made, but using the house style that's offered here. So this is a spallacamicia shoulder. Spallacamicia means shirt shoulder. The spallacamicia shoulder is one of 5 different shoulders in Italy. It can only be achieved in 2 regions of Italy, and it achieves a more rounded, relaxed, natural shoulder to give you more of that athleticism in your look. It's very obvious to spot a good suit from a cheaply made suit. There's a number of different indicators. Usually the shoulder is the cornerstone of the whole suit. So if they're a boxier shoulder, you're generally going to be in I won't say cheaper, I will say cheaply made suit. If it's really big and sacky, chances are it was made to fit a wide range of people and is probably not something you should be wearing. There are different cultures in suit making. In England, it's a heavier suit construction. There's more layers of canvas, horsehair canvas, the hairs of a horse strung together to create the skeleton. There are more layers of that inside the jacket to create a shoulder. So if you're pear-shaped, you need to create a shoulder and create a chest, that kind of thing. The Italians are more about, I want to look good, but I want to feel good while I'm looking good. And to achieve that, you need the look good and the feel good. This is not an unstructured jacket. This has structure in it. The hairs of a horse strung together to create the canvas that goes into the shoulder to give you structure, so it looks like a suit, but it wears like a shirt. It's lightweight like a shirt. There's more fabric tucked into the sleeve head to give me more forward range of motion when I'm moving around. There's actually, even though this looks close to my body, there's a little bit of room in it too. It's because of the angles of the cuts and because everything is thoughtfully constructed. I'm going to talk about trends that I like, but more importantly, trends that I really don't like. And in DC, there are so many like that fall into that latter category. Gray and blue together. What is that, guys? There is something in the government community here that somebody told these people that it was okay to do that, gray and blue together. Gray and blue, black and blue is a bruise. There's an epidemic of these big, baggy, kind of like wide leg pants. I don't care if you're big, small, short, tall. The narrowing at the bottom, at the very bottom of the leg, not skinny jeans style narrow, but narrow at the bottom, will do a lot for your build. It'll flatter your physique. Other than that, I would say throw an outer layer on to whatever you're wearing. I don't care if it's like a leather moto jacket or if it's a blazer or an overcoat. Whatever your build is, most guys haven't been training in the gym every day, 6 to 7 days a week. There's something that needs a little bit, that could benefit from a little bit of help. So if your chest is small, if you have a little bit of a paunch or whatever, all of that gets really shaped out and kind of covered up and made clean by a blazer or even by a well-fitted moto jacket, an overcoat, something like that to throw over your shirt and pants or jeans. I think every client that comes in is notable. Everybody that comes in is family. In entertainment, I dress guys like Diplo for a long time. Diplo is also Major Lazer, is also Jack Yu. Kellen Lutz from the Twilight Saga. Jamie Bamber was in Battlestar Galactica. In the athletic world, 19 guys on the Redskins, Eagles, Ravens. I realized over time that it doesn't matter so much your field, because every guy needs a jacket or a suit, definitely shirts, at some point in their life. I live for the reveals. When a guy comes in and he tries on a suit for the first time and it makes him kind of stand a little bit taller, smile a little bit wider, gives him a little bit more confidence. People say the clothes don't make the man makes the man. But when you walk into a room and nobody's heard you speak, if they're just looking at you, they make an unconscious decision as to whether you're somebody that's worth getting to know or not, and everybody benefits from a little bit of help.
Looking for some things to do? Don't miss the special engagement of George Bernard Shaw's St. Joan. It's at the Folger Theater and has been extended through June 10th. The play is presented by the New York-based Bedlam Theater Company and directed by Eric Tucker. Drea Brown plays the heroine.
Our last artist in the spotlight is Sarah Knight. Now, this Howard alum has worked with everyone, from the Jacksons to Jill Scott.
Theron is on a very short list of Black female lighting designers. Her work has embellished concert halls, theater stages, and events like the North Sea Jazz Festival and Coachella. Always on the road, we caught up with Theron right before she hopped a plane to Atlanta for her next project.
I was in the theater department at the College of Fine Arts. One of the requirements for my coursework was to take this one class called Tech. We spent 3 hours every day working on shows and productions, backstage, either costume or scenic or lighting design. What inspired me to become a lighting designer? I needed to pay the rent is what actually happened. I wanted to become an actor. That's what I was doing when I was young and in high school and in college. But while I was in college, I needed to work. I needed some money to help pay the bills, and they needed help backstage. So that's how I started. A lighting designer is responsible for providing the lighting and the atmosphere for whatever the event or production is, helping to realize the artist's or director's vision, and then also in general just making sure that people are seen for different kinds of productions, concerts, plays, musicals, even corporate conferences or special events like a wedding or a bar mitzvah. It was a slow and gradual process for me transitioning from acting to lighting design. I really loved acting and using my imagination to become different people. But it's very frustrating at times trying to give the director and other people what they want. And when I was working on a show, when I was working with lights, I could manipulate these fixtures with my own hands. I was the one calling the shots. I got a lot more control calling the shots as a lighting designer and crew director than I ever did as an actor on stage. I didn't break into it on my own. Someone helped me. It was another professional, black professional in the industry, turning back, giving back, and helping someone else to come up. So that's really what's needed for other people to succeed. There aren't a lot of women lighting designers in this industry. My specialty right now is the concert touring industry. And one of the challenges that I faced as a lighting designer was, and the first thing that comes to mind is just being kind of undervalued or overlooked. Sometimes when I'm touring in the Midwest or even in the South, places, Montana or Utah, even South Carolina, you walk into the arena, and if it's a large show, you're in charge of, sometimes 60 or 100 people to help get your lighting rig into the air. And the men, once I walk into the circle and introduce myself, you kind of see these thrown glances and, you're in charge? Yeah, I'm in charge, me. So let's all get around these motor cases, baby. You get the opportunity to use both your left brain and your right brain. You get to be technical and, but also use your artistic sensibility. So I really hope that there are other people out there who are considering career paths or changing career paths who give the backstage jobs an opportunity or a look-see. I've toured with Jill Scott. I did New Edition at the Essence Music Festival. That was a lot of fun. Yo Gotti, Meek Mill, D'Angelo, Lauryn Hill, and the list goes on. I've also done quite a few corporate productions. I even lit President Barack Obama one time, which was a personal favorite. I did the state dinner at the White House, which was awesome, which is one of my career highs. What gives me the most pleasure in doing this job, honestly, is a job well done. I can make you, as an audience member, I can make you either feel happy or sad or, the mood kicks in, or, really emphasize the drama, really emphasize what's happening on stage between these actors. Or if it's a concert, which is what I do now, I can, with the lighting, I can make an audience member jump out of their seats just by accenting the right drum beat or the right guitar string. So I'm sitting behind the lighting board and I'm pushing up the faders to control the lights, and I've got red lights in this corner, I've got blue lights behind the subject, and you can mix them to make purple or pink or just blue or just red, and it's seeing that on stage, the results of my dreams and my thought processes onto the subject to make this production come alive. And it's really satisfying, really down deep, just to know that I've done my job well and lit a show as best I can.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. We'd love to hear from you, so reach out to us on social media at #ArticoTV. I'm Anquinette Crosby, and until next time, always remember to follow your art.
My family ate shite so I could have sugar. This stuff is deep. I have this light and I will not be denied. And if you can't cop a hit off this flame, if you don't understand what living is about and that we're here to share this light, if you refuse to get a hot kind of hit off this flame, then step off. Because I'm going to blaze, because this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, ooh, let it shine.
This program was produced by WHUT, Howard University Television, and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.